The Chinese are way too smart not to know that some cryptocurrency is going to become the world standard. I mean, this is a fact. The Pandora's box has been opened. You'll never get close. You will never get altcoins back into that box, no matter how governments may complain, no matter how scary it may be for collecting taxes. The world is going to change. The Chinese know this. And the Chinese virtually are in control of Bitcoin now. So they are not going to kill their prodigal child, not the one that's going to bring them in the future great control and power in the world. So believe me, what China has done is added legitimacy. It's taken away much of the underbelly, the darkness, the Bitcoins on the dark web, this aspect which puts people off. So in my opinion, I don't know why the price went from $1,100 to $770 suddenly. It should have gone up by a factor of 2, and it will. The world will catch on. Everybody, every company in the world, at some point, is going to have every transaction, every packet that's transmitted on every network, part of a blockchain. Why? Because it's the only way to guarantee that you don't have a hacker in your system or that you don't have a rogue employee. Why is the Bitcoin field so small? Why are there so few users considering the power and the utility? And the second thing is the absolute foolishness of having software wallets. Being in the security field, I go out of my way to get infections on everything that I have. My laptops, my phones. About 2.5 months ago, it was one of these flashing things, you got a virus. Click this button now within 90 seconds or whatever. Well, I clicked the button. The next day, 5 of my Bitcoin wallets were empty. Now, I have every wallet in the world for almost every currency. Why? Because I'm looking at companies that do exchanges, exchanging Bitcoin for Moneros and Moneros for Ethereum and so on and so forth. So I'm always testing these things. The only wallet that did not disappear was Mycelium. Now, if any people here like Mycelium, don't clap yet, okay? Because, but oddly enough, nothing was taken out of Mycelium. 3 days later, I go into Mycelium to do a transfer into Ethereum, and a half an hour later, my Mycelium wallet is gone. Why? Because here's what I forgot. Among things that were downloaded on my system were key locking software, and obviously screen capture. So Mycelium has a six-character code before you can actually proceed with the transaction. As soon as I type that code in, whoever's monitoring my phone now had my code for Mycelium, and it was empty. So what does that mean? That means that, let's say you've got a brand new wallet, and they say, here are your seed keys, please type them in. Well, whoever's in the phone also has your seed keys. This is the reality that we're living in. And I know people who keep hundreds of thousands of dollars in wallets on smartphones. That money will disappear one day. Guaranteed. Absolutely guaranteed. So we spend all of this time worrying about encryption, end-to-end encryption. That's all nonsense. The hackers are way ahead of you, way ahead of us. There's no man in the middle anymore. No one's trying to listen to communication from one point to another. They're trying to get into your phone to become the master of that phone. Phones are designed, all mobile devices are designed for what? To be spy devices. Why? Because they sell to marketers everything that they possibly find out about you. Your location. Are you close to the store? What did you last buy? Who are your friends? Whose friends are their friends? What are you saying in your emails and your text messages? Read, when you download an app, the permissions that you've been giving out. So if a marketing app can do it, a hacker can do it. And if you have a Bitcoin wallet or something of value on that phone, and they happen to be interested in it, it's going to disappear one day. I don't care whose wallet you use. And Mycelium, by the way, is a very secure wallet. But nothing can protect you against the man, not in the middle, but on top. The one whom you allow into your system by clicking. There's a virus in your system, click here, get rid of it. So wallets are going to be the big thing. Now, nothing seems to be happening, right? How do you know? I mean, I lost thousands of dollars on this one thing from Pornhub. Who do I report it to? The police? What do they go to? Is there some central agency where I can call up and say, I'd like to report the fact that I downloaded some software and it wiped out all my Bitcoins? So no, we don't know about those things. And believe me, if it can happen to me, it can happen to you. And probably has happened to many thousands of people. And sometimes you don't even know why. I mean, I consider myself of average intelligence, and yet I have lost thousands of dollars in transactions by just transferring from Bitcoin to Ethereum using various companies. Why? Because it's late at night, it's 11 o'clock, I'm tired, I've had a glass of wine. So you have the send wallet, you have the intermediary wallet, and you've got the receive wallet. Well, you get one of those confused, your money ends up in limbo. Usually the company that does the exchanges, and they don't bother to tell you that you screwed up, because they don't know who you are. So we are losing money. And it is flowing into the hands of bad people, and we don't even know it. But I promise you this, that somebody is going to one day do a sweep, and 200,000 people are going to lose everything that they have in Bitcoin on every mobile device that they have. So unless you're testing things like I'm doing, and your wallet is on a computer, of any kind, your pad, your smartphone, it's going to go away. Count on it. It will disappear. So what are we left with? I'm not promoting Trezor or anything else, but we're left with the only solution that you have, and it's got to be a hardware device offline. Even hardware devices that give you your seed keys on your smartphone, well, that's stupid. Who cares if it is a hardware device? Because if you have keystroke logging software or screen capture software, then the hackers have it anyway. So you're keeping it offline, but who cares? They've got your seed keys. They can restart it anywhere they want. So be aware. And I promise you it will happen. It will be a shock to the world, and it's going to affect the price of Bitcoin. Can you imagine 100,000 people lose, millions of dollars in Bitcoin hacking sweep? Because they're going to do it in one day. The Russian hackers, the Chinese underground hackers, they're not stupid. They're not going to go and pick one or two or three people. No, because word's going to get around. No, they're going to do it all in one day. You're going to have bots that go into your computers. They already have your seed keys. They already have everything they need. And suddenly everybody's wallet is gone. And it will be irrecoverable. Take my word for it, or not, but believe me. So we have to think of solutions that do not involve our money hanging around on devices that have operating systems that are known that can be hacked and manipulated by other people. So you got to have some hardware device, bury in your backyard, put it in your refrigerator, whatever. Unless it's a smart refrigerator, who knows? So that's problem number one. Problem number two, because I am looking at companies, I fully believe Bitcoin is not the only currency in the world, and we do not know what's going to happen in the future. There are a number of viable cryptocurrency alternatives that I feel might, catch up with or even surpass this Bitcoin. We don't really know. But I do know this, that at some point, there will have to be a means of transferring funds from one to another. So I tried everything, Shapeshift. I lost $9,000 over the past 6 months doing transactions on Shapeshift. There are other couple of companies we're looking at, which I will not name, that I haven't lost anything on. But as a result, I'm doing things that a reasonably smart man loses money at, because I can't keep them straight. Sometimes you have four different wallets you have to worry about. So you do a copy and paste here, and it's hard. So you wonder why the user base is as small as it is, because Bitcoin, hugely powerful. I mean, I can buy anything anywhere with just a click of a button. I don't have to call the bank. I don't have to wait for banking hours. I don't have to get my balance. Extremely powerful, and yet so few users. How do users come into Bitcoin? It's almost like a fraternity. If you do not know someone who's already using Bitcoin, they can hold your hand and say, listen, you can lose everything you have if you're not careful. And you know this is true. You've got to know what you're doing. Well, that's got to stop. You have to know what you're doing. I'm losing money on these transactions because there is no software that puts it all together for me. There is no interface that says, look, I've got 20 Bitcoins, give me how many Ethereum that makes, and put it in this account. There's nothing that does that. Nothing. And until that happens, the exchanges are going to be impossible. Everything is made complex where it does not need to be. Why do I even need to know anything about wallet addresses? Why do I need to know anything at all about how Bitcoin works? Because if you don't know how Bitcoin works, you are liable to lose some money. Why do I need to do that? There is software whose purpose is to take all of the things that our minds have difficulty doing, believing, or understanding, and doing it for us. You know, it's not to replace our brain. It's to take those aspects of our brain that don't function exactly perfect, because software does function perfectly. So until that happens, we're going to continue to grow at a snail's pace. But when someone puts it all together, there's one little program here, and we give the caveat, please don't keep your Bitcoins on your phone. You know, find some other way. You know, here's a bunch of hardware wallets you can use. Some of them are as cheap as $20, others, you know, a little more, whatever. Just a little bit of advice, and then the program does everything. You want to buy Bitcoin? Okay, you can do it in a number of ways, including meeting people at a coffee shop if you want. Yes, everything done for you, so that I don't need a friend who's been using Bitcoin to say, look, you really need to get into this, but before you do, let me talk to you about it. Good God, how are you ever going to grow by doing that? So all of this effort of all of these people in this room, and every room that I talk to in Bitcoin, who are brilliant people, has been placed properly in making sure the back end, we're mining, the mathematic works fine. And no one's looking at what it takes to take the average housewife, you know, who has 3 kids and just got a smartphone, to use Bitcoin without having to give her a class of instruction or without having to hold her hand. And until that happens, it's not going to grow. Now, there are other alt currencies that are in fact looking at ways or are doing exactly what I'm suggesting the Bitcoin community do. And we have to all get together. We don't need the confusion that exists today. I mean, literally, I have lost thousands of dollars just moving Ethereum to Moneros and Moneros to Dice and Dice to whatever, literally, because I made an error. I missed a sequence. Now, did I get any of that money back? No, it's impossible. And so the same thing will happen to other people. And at some point, you will be doing this constantly, because it's not just Bitcoin. There are other alt currencies that will be as big as and as accepted as Bitcoin. You're going to have to accept this. And there will be exchanges made. And that function is going to be critical. And it has to be very simple. And can't let people lose money in the process. Because if your bank loses your money, I go to the bank and say, hey, you're supposed to transfer money to this account, you transferred it to the wrong account, I want my money back. They'll give it back. Well, Bitcoin, you transfer it to the wrong address, try to get it back. Doesn't happen. So, I think it's running late, and I know I've got to go. So, I'll be available, you know, afterwards if anybody wants to. It's doubtful, but I'll be outside. So yes, thank you very much.